Hello, and thank you for joining us for our Action for Healthy Kids mini webinar series, part of our Do-It-Yourself challenges. Today we're going to focus on yoga in the classroom. My name is Caroline Rafael Blanco, and I am the National Field Manager with Action for Healthy Kids. And we also have today Christina Shelton. She is our DC, Maryland, Virginia State Coordinator, and she's going to provide an overview and additional details and resources about yoga in the classroom for you today as part of our mini webinar series. And I am going to go to the next slide. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I'd like to give you a little background on Action for Healthy Kids in case you're unfamiliar with what we do. We are a national nonprofit organization that fights childhood obesity, undernourishment, and physical inactivity by helping schools become healthier places so kids can live healthier lives. We're moms, dads, teachers, students, school wellness experts, and more that have banded together to create healthier learning environments for our children. We believe that everyone has a part to play in ending the nation's childhood obesity epidemic, and our programs, tools, and resources really help to make that possible. Our goal is to create school communities in which children can learn how to make healthy choices from the minute they walk in the front door to the minute they leave at the end of the school day. So we try to provide additional school wellness resources. So today we're going to actually focus on yoga in the classroom, and Christina is an expert and is going to provide some additional resources about incorporating yoga in the classroom.
So thank you very much, Caroline, for the wonderful introduction. I'm very excited to be here today and to present on the topic of integrating yoga into the classroom. Integrating yoga-based movements and practices into the classroom is beginning to gain popularity as teachers continue to look for ways to add movement into the learning environment. Before we talk about how to add yoga movements into a classroom setting, let's first review the basics of yoga and some of its benefits. So first, what is yoga? Yoga is a practice that includes breathing techniques, yoga postures, and mindfulness. The most common breathing technique used in yoga is often referred to as diaphragmatic breathing, which we will cover in today's mini webinar. Yoga is also founded upon yoga postures or poses, and we will cover 5 yoga postures for the classroom. Mindfulness is a practice of focusing your attention on the present moment. In yoga, we often use the breath and yoga postures to guide the mind towards a state of mindfulness. Teaching students to be mindful can be helpful for students to reduce anxiety, stress, and worry. Yoga as a function of physical exercise is often referred to as hatha yoga. There are many types of yoga and philosophies that provide the foundation for yoga. And today we are primarily going to focus on the physical movements of yoga as well as breathing techniques. Lastly, yoga is for everyone. It's often assumed that one must already be flexible and fit to participate in yoga, and that's just not true. All yoga practices can be modified to fit the age, goals, and abilities of the practitioner. Next slide. So why should we integrate yoga into the classroom, and what are the benefits of doing so? Yoga promotes a safe and modifiable physical movement. All yoga-based movements can be modified to ensure success and safety for all. Even those with physical limitations can participate in yoga. Yoga provides opportunities to create an energetic or a calming environment. Yoga can be used to create energy in a learning environment when an instructor needs to engage students or to calm students down, perhaps after lunch or recess, when energy is high and the teacher needs to prepare the students for a quieter learning activity. Yoga improves posture, fitness, balance, coordination, and body awareness. Research shows that the physical benefits of yoga is linked to each of these areas. And yoga can also teach simple self-relaxation strategies. By teaching breathing techniques, mindfulness practice, and body awareness, students will learn how to reduce anxiety, stress, and become more self-aware. Let's cover some simple tips for the classroom teachers to get them started. Teachers should designate a predetermined time for a yoga practice. This should be based on the goals of the practice. For example, if using the practice to calm students, use the poses and breathing techniques after recess for a test or a high-stress performance. Also, be sure to share with your students when they should be expecting the yoga practice so that they too can get accustomed to the new schedule. Start with a short 3 to 5 minute session. Keeping the session short helps the students stay actively engaged and ready to learn. Add more time as the class practices more advanced yoga postures. Remember to prepare the classroom environment. Consider turning the lights down, moving items off of the desk and chairs, perhaps playing music, and rearrange any classroom items that may prohibit movement. Last, keep it simple and have fun. Start slowly. Encourage the students to explore their body movements and practice the poses and activities with the students. Encourage participants to laugh and enjoy all movements. Next, let's talk further about diaphragmatic breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing is an easy technique to promote relaxation and mindfulness. This technique focuses on the expansion of the abdomen and the diaphragm instead of the chest when breathing, therefore allowing the practitioner to focus on longer, deeper breaths rather than short, quick breaths. Diaphragmatic breathing matches the inhalation to the exhalation. Often, practitioners will count up to 4 or 5 towards each inhalation and then back down to 0 with each exhalation. This can help to match each breath. Let's take a moment to practice this technique. Sit tall in your chair. Breathe deeply through your nose into your belly. Imagine that your abdomen is a balloon. Fill up the balloon with air as you inhale, letting your belly, ribs, and then your chest expand. Exhale completely, letting it all go. Repeat this exercise several times. If feeling lightheaded, return to your normal breathing pattern and return to the practice again at another time. Teachers are encouraged to use this brief activity description with students to help them learn the practice of diaphragmatic breathing before, during, and after the practice of yoga postures. Next, let's take a look at some simple yoga poses that can be easily integrated into the classroom environment. We'll first start with the seated spinal twist. Have students start in a seated neutral position. Place your right hand on the chair next to or slightly behind your hip. Gently place your right hand to the outside of your right knee. Inhale, sitting tall. Exhale, twisting gently to the right side. Hold this pose for 2 to 5 breaths. When ready, inhale, sitting back to neutral spine, and exhale to the other side. The benefits of the seated spinal twist pose include stretching the shoulders, hips, and neck, and strengthening the spine and the core. Next slide. The seated rainbow pose. Inhale, raising both hands over your head. Exhale, dropping one hand by your side and arch the other arm over your body like a rainbow. Hold this pose for 2 to 5 breaths. Remember to keep the face relaxed, the chin lifted off the chest, and the ear off of the shoulder. Inhale as you bring your dropped arm back above your head, straightening your body, and when ready, repeating this pose on the opposite side. The benefits of this pose include stretching the side abdominals, the arms, the spine, and shoulders, as well as opening up the chest. Next pose. Star pose. Begin by standing up tall and strong. Extend your arms out wide to both sides of your body and step your feet out about as wide as your hands and wrists. Inhaling and exhaling deeply as you enjoy this full body stretch, hold this pose for 2 to 5 breaths. The benefits of star pose include strengthening the shoulders and also stretching the inner thigh muscles, increasing core strength, and the most important of all, increasing balance and coordination. For a modification here, students are open to just using the arms or the legs and modifying the intensity by increasing the lever length of the arms and legs here. Next pose. Airplane pose. Begin by standing up tall and strong. Inhale and extend your arms out to either side, finding your balance here first. Exhale and lean forward at the hips, lifting one leg straight behind you. Hold this pose for 2 to 5 breaths. If a student falls out of the pose, encourage students to get back into the pose at any time. Return to a standing position when ready, and then repeat with the opposite side. The benefits of this pose include strengthening the legs, the core, arms, and feet, and improving balance and coordination. Next slide. Frog pose. Start in a standing position. Spread your feet a bit wider than hip distance apart, and then start by bending your knees, squatting on the floor by balancing on your toes. The knees will spread wide, and place your hands either on the floor, between your legs, or on your knees. Hold this pose for 2 to 5 breaths. When ready, return to a standing position and repeat as necessary. Benefits of the frog pose include it's a wonderful hamstring stretch, and it also is a strengthener of the major muscles of the leg. Modifications here include students who cannot squat down as low to the ground. They may squat down as deep as they can, or can just bend their knees into a micro bend without going all the way down to the floor. So let's go to the next slide. So now that we've covered some yoga posture, let's discuss a few tips for keeping all students safe as they practice. This is a major concern for most people when they start to integrate yoga in the classroom. So first of all, teachers should encourage children to explore how their bodies move. Ask students to move their body in a way that feels good to him or her, and encourage them to try new movements or combinations of movements based on these feelings. So if something doesn't feel good to a student or a practitioner, encourage them to do the movement in a different way or to not do the movement at all. Remember to allow children to vary their movements to self-select more or less intensity. Ask students to connect their movements to how the movements feel, and ask students to make adjustments as necessary. Remind students that not all yoga postures must look the same, and they do not have to look like their friend or the teacher demonstrating the movements, and that the perfect yoga posture is the one that he or she is doing in the present moment. Teachers should guide children in continuing to breathe deeply and smoothly during all movements. Using the diaphragmatic breathing practice that we covered early in the presentation, remind students to breathe throughout their physical practice and to breathe deeply through their belly with every exhalation and inhalation. Lastly, remember to appreciate that different children have different capabilities and needs. As with all learning activities, some students will immediately enjoy practicing yoga, while others may struggle with the movements or the breathing practice, or with just the general nature of a new activity. Remember to be patient, provide encouragement, and offer modifications for all movements so that every student can be successful. Next, let's talk about a few simple and fun yoga activities to help any classroom teacher get started. This is one tip that I love, and I think it's very easy for classroom teachers to integrate, is by relating yoga poses to animal sounds, characters, and stories. These may be from books or songs or curriculum items that you are already using in your classroom. So use your creativity here. Allow children to create and name new yoga poses and then demonstrate to them to class. Again, it does not have to be yoga pose that's already been created. Allow them to explore their body and move their body in new ways and then creatively name these new yoga poses. Play freeze dance. When the music stops, have the students freeze in a yoga pose until they get tagged by another student. Have students pair up and near one another using yoga poses. This can be helpful for students who need to see the yoga pose before they can actually do it, and working with a partner can be very beneficial. And lastly, my favorite is creating a personalized class set of yoga pose deck cards by having each student pick, illustrate, and name a yoga pose on an index card. Then teachers can use the deck of pose cards for other classroom activities or for small group activities. Next slide. Here are some helpful yoga resources that you can check out for additional information. First, I'd like to say thank you to Centered Being Yoga, which is a yoga studio in Northern Virginia, for reviewing our slides and providing feedback for today's mini webinar. They have wonderful resources by going to their website, centeredbeingstudio.com, and they also have wonderful videos that you can look at for free on YouTube. Yoga Journal is also a wonderful yoga resource that you can get information on the different poses and articles on yoga. Namaste Kid and the Kids Yoga resource also have information for kids yoga poses, safety, activity lesson ideas for classroom teachers. So check those resources out for more information. So Caroline, I'm going to send it over to you.
Great. Thanks so much for all of that great information, Christina. And I want to remind everyone again, if you want to learn more about Action for Healthy Kids and how you can get involved with our mission and movement, we encourage you to take the Every Kid Healthy Pledge and help us create a 100,000-person movement to make all schools healthier places. It takes just about 10 seconds, and once you've signed on, we'll show you ways both big and small that can turn your commitment into action. And I want to thank Christina Shelton today for providing us these excellent resources about yoga in the classroom. Christina has had some success incorporating yoga in the classroom and actually instructing it in some classrooms with some of our awarded schools. So I want to thank Christina for your time today, and I encourage you to contact us at Action for Healthy Kids if you have any questions about Action for Healthy Kids or about yoga in the classroom. We can always connect you with some resources. So thank you today for joining us for our Do-It-Yourself mini webinar series about yoga in the classroom, and we look forward to working with you. Have a great day.